If you're planning a visit, or even if you live here, hopefully you can find some inspiration to get out and explore this great city as I take you on part 2 of my guided tour with the help of this, the London Monopoly board. Welcome back to this special edition of Brainrotting. Square in part 2 of my guided tour is the Strand, and it's at the far end that you'll find Gringotts Bank. It may be closed to the public, but peek through the door of the Australian High Commission and you can gaze at the interior of Harry Potter's preferred depository. And a short walk away from Gringotts Bank on Portsmouth Street, you can find the old Curiosity Shop, built in 1567 and immortalised by Charles Dickens. It survived the Great Fire of London in 1666 and the Blitz, and is now a shoe shop selling unique handmade footwear. And for all you film buffs out there, just off Fleet Street is the fascinating Temple Church, the old headquarters of the Knights Templar, the soldier monks charged with protecting pilgrims on their way to and from Jerusalem. It was featured in the Da Vinci Code and was consecrated in 1185. If you're thirsty, you could always cross the road to Ye Olde Cheshire Cheese pub. It may not have survived the Great Fire of London, but there's been a pub at this location since 1538. Charles Dickens stopped by for a pint here, as did Mark Twain when he visited London, so if you were thirsty and fancied a drink, you'd be in good company. It's home to Nelson's Column and the National Gallery, but did you know that Trafalgar Square is the 4th most popular tourist attraction on Earth, and it's still owned by the Queen? And if you know where to look, you can also spot what was the world's smallest police station, which is now a cleaner's store. Charing Cross is officially recognised as the centre of London, and if you look down on the floor by the statue of Charles I, you can see a plaque marking the site of the original Charing Cross. And it's from this point that all distances from London are measured. The Strand may host Gringotts Bank, but close to Fenchurch Street is the magnificent Leadenhall Market, or for all you Harry Potter fans, Diagon Alley. Built in 1881, it's lined with ornate Victorian shops, and during the week it's host to a busy market. Leicester Square is the centre of London's cinema land. It's the prime location for London's film premieres, and it's surrounded by plaques embedded with movie stars' names and their handprints. But take a walk onto Charing Cross Road, and just next to Leicester Square tube station you come across Cecil Court, lined with antique shops and bookstores. Whilst Leadenhall Market may have been in the movies, it was Cecil Court that was J.K. Rowling's inspiration for Diagon Alley. And here in 1961 at number 23 Cecil Court was the scene of a murder that led to a major advancement in criminal detection. On the 3rd of March, the body of shop assistant Mrs Elsie May Batten was found at the rear of the shop. The murderer was subsequently caught after the police pieced together the witnesses' descriptions, and thus the first identikit picture was developed. Walk down Coventry Street and take a right onto Whitcomb Street, where you'll find Pamela Barbers, one of the finest independent barber shops in London. Offering traditional barber services, including a wet shave, it's perfect for any of you who want to dress smart like a London bloke. The London Waterworks were originally situated on the west side of Old London Bridge, opposite St Magnus Church. Walk over London Bridge for a great view of Tower Bridge and HMS Belfast, and you can head on towards Southwark Cathedral. The cathedral claimed there's been a church on this site since 606 AD, and as the original parish church for my secondary school, believe it or not, I sang here as a 12-year-old choir boy. And if you're peckish, you can explore Borough Market, London's oldest food market. filled your stomach, why not wet your throat with a pint at the Globe pub? And if you recognise it, you'd be right, because Bridget Jones lives upstairs. Piccadilly is home to Fortnum and Mason, the Ritz Hotel and the Royal Academy, the destination of our next fix of British history. Enter the Academy's courtyard and you can see a wooden prototype of one of the earliest red telephone boxes, and it's still in operation today. Hold on, I think someone's changed a euro this long. On Regent Street you can find Hamleys, which until the 1990s was the world's largest toy store. But recently I learnt a very worrying fact. Apparently 80% of women are wearing the wrong bra size. So girls, why not get fitted for a new one at Rigby and Pella, Corsetiers to the Queen. Oxford Street is Europe's busiest shopping street. But walk towards Marble Arch and you pass London's smallest house, which overlooks the old St George's graveyard. Apparently it was built in 1805 to deter body snatchers. Continue walking along the Bayswater Road and peek behind the iron bars near Victoria Gate, offering proof of the British obsession with pets. Unfortunately it's not open to the public, but if you do peer over the hedge you can see hundreds of tiny pet tombstones dating back to the 1800s. There isn't actually a Bond Street, instead it's divided into New and Old Bond Street. In 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor led the United States to declare war on Japan, and soon afterwards Germany declared war on the US, forcing Franklin D. Roosevelt to take the US out of its isolationist stance and stand side by side with Europe. Unfortunately, he died 1 month before VE Day took place. And you can thank two of the world's great statesmen in person by sitting next to Frank and Winston on this park bench, placed here to celebrate 50 years of peace in Europe. Just around the corner from Liverpool Street is Brushfield Street, where S&M cafes serve up some traditional British grub. If you're not getting along with our obsession with curry, then the least you can do is come down here for a portion of sausage and mash. We've already established that the British are an eccentric bunch, but we strongly believe in free speech too. For over 150 years, Speaker's Corner has been one of London's most unique attractions. Drop by on a Sunday morning to witness this open forum of oral tradition, but be warned, they tend towards the more provocative subjects of morality and current events, and it attracts some of London's more colourful and flamboyant figures.
Don't you feel funny that every time you go to the toilet, Jesus is taking a picture of you? You don't care if Jesus is watching you?
But we've come here specifically because we're not lazy. We want to learn the great mistress of wisdom such as this.
You are not a we, you're an arrogant mister who couldn't keep quiet.
No, I'm royal.
Mayfair is actually a district of London and it's the final square on the Monopoly board. It's home to Savile Row and the former residence of Jimi Hendrix, as identified by the blue plaque on number 23 Brook Street. Brown Hart Gardens by Duke Street is actually a Baroque-style electrical substation built on top of a communal garden. To compensate local residents for the loss of green space when the substation was built, the Duke of Westminster insisted that a paved Italian garden was placed on top of it. And so Brown Hart Gardens were opened in 1906. So whether you're planning a visit to London or even if you live here, I hope you managed to find some inspiration to get out and explore this great city. Right now I've got to make my way back to South America to continue my motorcycle adventure, so keep watching and see you next time.